There's a secret hidden within the words of Jesus, an overlooked detail that, when discovered, has the power to transform everything. For thousands of years, his teachings have shaped lives, but one small detail has remained under the surface, waiting to be understood. It's not a loud proclamation or a dramatic miracle, but a subtle yet profound truth that changes how we see him, how we live, and how we understand his love. This detail isn't just for theologians or scholars, it's for anyone willing to listen with an open heart. It's the key to unlocking the deep relationship Jesus longs to have with you. In this video, we'll explore that hidden message, the one detail in Jesus' words that has been waiting for you to hear. The one that could change everything. Let's dive into this discovery together and see how one simple phrase can alter the course of our faith. 1. When Jesus spoke, heaven listened. When Jesus spoke, it wasn't just words falling on human ears. It was as if heaven itself paused to listen. The voice that once commanded light into existence now spoke to the hearts of men. Imagine that for a moment the very same voice that spoke galaxies into being was now speaking to a few fishermen, to a blind man, to a paralyzed soul. And every syllable carried divine weight. Jesus didn't speak to impress. He spoke to transform. Every word he uttered had the power to heal, to restore, and to create. Think about it. When Jesus said, "Let there be light," creation itself obeyed. When he spoke to Lazarus, "Come out," death was undone. His words weren't just instructions or stories, they were life-giving. When he commanded the storm to be still, the very air obeyed. But there's one detail that often goes unnoticed in his words. We see the miracles, we hear the teachings, but we sometimes miss the weight of his silence. You see, Jesus didn't need to shout. He didn't need to prove his power. His authority wasn't in volume. It was in purity. He wasn't trying to impress. He was revealing heaven's truth. This is the power of Jesus' voice. It's not about dramatic displays. It's about the stillness that comes when divine authority speaks. And in this quiet power, there's a hidden message that changes everything. This message isn't just for the past, it's for today. The same voice that calmed the storm is speaking to us now. When Jesus speaks, it's an invitation, not a command. It's an invitation to know him more deeply, to follow him with a heart full of trust. So, when was the last time you truly listened to his voice? It might just be the key you've been waiting for. 2. The hidden detail in Matthew 24. There's a detail in one of Jesus' most quoted verses that most people miss, and it has the power to change everything about how we understand his return. In Matthew 24-36, Jesus says, "But about that day or hour, no one knows, not even the angels in heaven, nor the Son, but only the Father." At first glance, this verse seems straightforward. It's often used as a reminder that no one can predict the exact day or hour of the rapture. But what if there's a deeper message hidden in this verse that goes beyond merely warning us about date setting? In ancient Jewish wedding customs, the groom could not determine the exact time for his wedding day. Instead, he had to wait for his father to give the signal. The father would approve the preparations and announce, "It's time." Only then could the groom go to fetch his bride. This was not just a random expression. It was a well-known cultural reference that Jesus used to describe his relationship with the church. By saying, "Only the Father knows," Jesus wasn't simply indicating uncertainty. He was revealing a beautiful truth about his intimate relationship with the Father and his love for his bride, the church. Jesus was positioning himself as the bridegroom, and we, his followers, are the bride. Just as the groom's love for his bride is revealed in the waiting, so too is the love of Christ for his church. The detail that many miss here isn't about uncertainty or fear of not knowing. It's about love and readiness. The Father is waiting for the perfect moment to send the Son, not just to judge the world, but to reunite with his bride. This changes how we should live, ready, watching, and waiting for the day he will call us home. 3. The detail, hidden in the word. Today, there's a word Jesus spoke that forever changed the course of one man's life, a word we often overlook. When Jesus hung on the cross, the world saw defeat, but heaven saw redemption in progress. As Jesus suffered, 2 criminals hung beside him. One mocked him, demanding proof of his power, but the other, broken and humble, turned to Jesus and said, "Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom. Luke 23:42. In response, Jesus spoke one of the most profound statements in all of Scripture. Truly I tell you, today you will be with me in paradise. Luke 23:43. It's easy to read this as just another promise, but when we pause and truly consider the weight of that one word today, everything shifts. Jesus didn't say, someday, or after judgment, or once you've earned your way. He said today. In that instant, everything changed for the criminal. In a moment of faith, his sins were forgiven, and his eternal destiny was secured. That single word, today, is the key that unlocks the depth of Jesus' grace. Salvation isn't something we have to work towards over time. It's immediate. It's not about earning favor. It's about faith in the Savior. This criminal, with nothing but faith, received forgiveness the moment he asked. Jesus didn't wait until after the resurrection to save him. He saved him right then, in the midst of his own suffering. That's the power of grace, instant, complete, final. It isn't about waiting for perfection or trying to fix our lives first. It's about surrendering to the one who has the power to redeem in a moment. So when Jesus speaks today, he's speaking to you too. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Now is the time to receive his grace. 4. The whisper in the storm. Imagine this. A violent storm has erupted on the Sea of Galilee. Waves are crashing, the boat is filling with water, and seasoned fishermen, the very men who have spent their lives on these waters, are now gripped by panic. But where is Jesus? He's asleep on a cushion in the stern, seemingly untouched by the chaos around him, Mark 4:38. In desperation, the disciples wake him, shouting, "Teacher, don't you care if we drown?" And then, in a moment of absolute calm, Jesus rises. He doesn't shout. He doesn't wave his hands or perform some dramatic ritual. Instead, he speaks just 3 words. Peace. Be still. Mark 4:39. Immediately the storm ceases. The sea becomes calm, and the air itself seems to breathe again. Here's the detail most of us miss. Jesus didn't rebuke the waves. He rebuked the wind. The storm was only a symptom of the deeper, unseen force, the spiritual turmoil that had been stirring behind the scenes. The wind was the root cause, and Jesus addressed it directly. Sometimes, in our own lives, we focus on the visible storms, the problems, the fears, the challenges. But the real battle is often invisible. Beneath the surface, Jesus didn't just calm the symptoms, he confronted the unseen force driving the chaos. And that same authority he displayed over the storm is still at work today. When you're in the middle of a storm in your life, whether it's fear, doubt, loss, or confusion, Jesus is still speaking peace into your chaos. His peace isn't about controlling the external circumstances. It's about bringing calm to your heart, even when the storm rages around you. His words, peace, be still, remind us that he's in control. Even when the winds of life are at their fiercest, he remains the anchor. So, trust him in the storm. He's still speaking peace today. 5. The detail in the Garden of Gethsemane. The air is heavy, thick with sorrow and tension. Jesus, knowing the weight of what is to come, kneels in prayer. His disciples asleep nearby, unaware of the pivotal moment unfolding. This is where heaven and hell are on the brink of collision. Jesus is just hours away from being betrayed, tortured, and crucified. Yet, in the midst of this, he whispers words that define true obedience and love. Not my will, but yours be done. Luke 22:42. Those words are more than just a submission. They are the foundation of the gospel. The greatest act of obedience in human history wasn't a loud declaration, but a quiet surrender. Jesus, fully aware of the pain awaiting him, chooses to submit his will to the Father's plan. This was not weakness, but ultimate strength. Here's the detail most of us miss. Jesus didn't say these words because he had no will of his own. He said them because he had a will, a very real, human will. Yet he chose God's will over his own. This moment wasn't about Jesus' bypassing his desires. It was about surrendering them to a higher calling, knowing the path was filled with suffering, but also that it would lead to redemption for all mankind. This is the key to understanding true faith. Faith isn't about never feeling pain or doubt. It's about trusting God enough to surrender even when it seems impossible. The cup came before the crown, suffering before glory, surrender before resurrection. If you're facing a Gethsemane moment, remember that true strength isn't in fighting God's will, but in surrendering to it. Jesus' surrender in the garden made way for the resurrection. Your surrender today can do the same. Conclusion. Every word Jesus spoke carries profound meaning. Truths that reach across the ages and speak to us today. The details we've explored are not just lessons of the past. They are living, breathing revelations for us in the present. When Jesus declared, "It is finished," he was not just stating a fact. He was proclaiming victory. His words on the cross, in the garden, and on the stormy sea each carry the weight of divine power, transforming lives and destinies. From the first "Come, follow me" to the last, "It is finished." Jesus' words were not mere statements. They were invitations to the heart. They were declarations of truth, promises of hope, and calls to live differently. When he said, "Today you will be with me in paradise," he wasn't just speaking to the thief on the cross. He was speaking to you. When he whispered, "Peace, be still," he was speaking over the chaos in your life. So, as you read the Bible and meditate on his words, don't just skim over them. Pause, listen, and allow the depth of his voice to penetrate your heart. His words are alive, and they carry the power to heal, transform, and redirect our lives. Jesus doesn't just speak for the past, he speaks for today. When you hear his voice, don't let it pass by. Let his words guide you to a deeper relationship with him. The same voice that calmed the storm is still speaking today. The same voice that forgave the thief is still calling you to freedom. His words are not just a message, they are life. So, what is he saying to you today? Listen closely. Let his whisper change everything. Take a moment today to pause and listen. What is Jesus whispering to your heart right now? If you feel him calling you closer, respond. Let his words be your guide. Like, share, and comment with your thoughts. What is the hidden message in Jesus' words that has impacted you the most?